I bought my first investment property in August of 1999, quit my job and went full-time in August of 2000. So I've been buying investment property for about 9-10 years, and we buy 20 or 30 properties a year subject to. We bought a little over 200 properties so far, 250, that sort of thing, and only teach real-world techniques. So let me tell you guys, everything that I'm going to tell y'all is what I actually do out there on the street each and every day. So probably the first question that you have, some of you may be, what is subject to? Well, let me tell you very simply, when you're buying property subject to the existing financing, you're buying it leaving any liens or encumbrances in place. Someone goes out, they buy a property, and you come in and take over the payments, start sending the payments in just like the owner did. Okay, you're going to own the property, but the seller's still going to own the loan. When sellers buy property, they sit down, they get a deed at the closing table, and they also give the bank a mortgage. Now, what happens when you come in and you buy property subject to, the seller will give you a deed, giving you ownership, and then the mortgage that's in place, or the deed of trust, or security deed in Georgia, is going to stay in place, with your seller remaining technically responsible for repayment of that loan, but you coming in and making the payments for them. So, how does it work? Well, let me give you an example on how that works. Let's say that you go out, you folks that track foreclosures or that sort of thing, you go out, you buy a $100,000 pre-foreclosure property with a loan balance of $85,000 at 5.5% interest, 3 years into a 30-year mortgage. These deals are all over the place. There's not a tremendous amount of equity here, but they're easy to find. And I'm going to show you here how you can make something out of a deal like that. Your payments are $567 a month, and you sell this property on a contract for deed for $105,000. This is how we do most of our deals. We take them and sell them, wrap the note, and create cash flow with it. If you guys heard the gentleman before me, I think his name is Wright, talking about notes and that sort of thing, creating cash flow, that's exactly what we do with our subject to deals. We take them and wrap them and create cash flow with them. So we're going to sell this property that we bought subject to. We're going to sell it for $105,000. Our buyer will give us $4,000 down, and we'll finance $101,000 at 10% for 30 years, the same as a bank. And we put a 3-year balloon in. And we do that for a couple of reasons. The primary reason that we do it is for control. Within 3 years, our payer hasn't been paying us timely or has been hard to deal with. Well, they're probably going to have to go out and get different financing. But if they've been a good payer, they make all their payments on time, they take care of the property, then we're probably going to send them a letter and just roll it over and continue to let them make those payments. Now, our buyer's payments will be $886, and that will give us $319 a month cash flow for 36 months, or almost $11,000 in cash flow. When they refinance us in 36 months, our payoff is a little over $17,000. And what this turns into, a marginal deal in 3 years, turns into a deal giving us over $39,000 in profit. So that's a typical type deal for us and what we do. Now, I know those numbers, you see those numbers out there a lot, Sally Seller and Bob Buyer and that sort of thing. Let me show you an example of how these type deals work. And here's something that we did. As a matter of fact, it was my first subject to deal. Our seller called us on a bandit sign. Now, you guys, investors, know what those are. You know, they're the signs you see all over the place, out on the telephone poles, lose 50 pounds in 30 minutes, you know, self-employed insurance, that type of thing. We use those in our business. Our seller called us on a bandit sign, and we bought their property. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We took over the payments, bought it subject to. It had a current $104,000 loan with a 7% interest rate. Now, remember, this was about 10 years ago when 7% was a good rate. The payments were current. The couple was getting a divorce. and neither one could make the payments on their own. So they both agreed to sign it over. We wrapped the note, sold it on a land contract, sold it for market value, $125,900, got a $13,000 down payment from our buyer, and financed the balance for him at 8.75% interest. Now, we did this. We collected $161 a month cash flow for 26 months, at which point our buyers refinanced, and we collected another $8,800. So our total profit on our first subject to deal was almost $27,000. Not too bad. And here's a copy of the check that we got from our down payment from our buyers. You know, I got to tell you, this was the first subject to deal that we did, and it was just a few months into our investing. And I had to work 2 or 3 months to make that kind of money at my, restaurant job. So I was pretty excited, to say the least. So, a couple of examples. You know what it is. If you're a believer in how it works, let's get to the paperwork and how that sort of thing works. Did anyone have any questions at this point?
No questions at this point, William, but I will say that that's primarily because your presentation has been so razor clear.
Well, great. I appreciate that. If we don't have any questions, we'll go ahead and move on. The documents needed for a sub-2. Now, let me tell you this. There are several documents here. I know it looks like a big list. I'm going to tell y'all, if you talk to 10 investors tomorrow that buy houses subject to, probably there won't be 2 in the group that'll give you the same list of documents. Everybody's got their way that they want to do it, and that's okay. The main thing is that you get the deed and you get a way to make those payments each and every month. That's what's important. The rest is just things that make you feel comfortable, things that make you feel safe, that are going to keep the due on sale police away or whatever it may be. This is the way that William does a subject to deal, and these are the documents that he uses. And I'm going to tell you, we'll go through this thing in 2 steps. I'm going to back out of this here, and we're going to go into another program. Now, I break this thing up like this. I've got my initial meeting with my subject to seller, and then I've got the follow-up meeting when we're actually closing. So I use a program called Forms Master software that we developed to make those types of things a lot easier. We don't have time to go on that tonight, but let me just say initial meeting with subject to seller. And the first document that we're going to get, surprise, is a sales agreement. Okay? But when you buy or sell real estate, that's the first thing you're going to want, isn't it? A purchase and sales agreement. And it doesn't matter if you like to use Georgia realtor forms or if you want to use a form out of the latest course. The fact of the matter is, you can, as a purchase and sale agreement, you can write it on the back of a napkin, and it can be valid. The important things that you have in your purchase and sale agreement, they're all the same. You want a date. You want the name of the parties that are involved in the sale. You want the address, of course, of the property and the terms of the sale. And we don't have time to go through each and every document line by line, but let me tell you, those are the important things. If you've got those, it's good. The purchase price, if you're going to give earnest money or not, if the seller is going to give you any financing, and subject to existing loans. I think it's a good idea to have that built into my contract. Because remember, if it's in there, it's more legal, right? Or it's more the way it should be if you don't have to write it in. If it's already in there, that's just the way things look to people. It's just perception.
You have just watched a preview of one of our many online subgroups. Do you have questions about real estate investing and strategies? The REIA Network hosts a variety of topics and continues to add and update on a monthly basis. You can gain knowledge and get the answers you need for a membership of only $19.95 a month. Your membership will gain you access to skilled professionals that share their experience and knowledge through subgroups, forums, and an online bookstore with digital downloads under $10. For an overview of our services, including how you can make money for yourself, your local REIA, or both, go to www.thereianetwork.com.